Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review YouTube channel for this morning's Monday Newcastle United news. My name's Paul, and I am joined by, again, Billy Bob for the foreseeable of the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. We've got lots of news to go through again with you this morning. Some comments from Fabian Schär about Eddie Howe. You can possibly look at this very different ways if there's a little bit of talk going on behind the scenes about the manager. We've also got news that Newcastle could be targeting Leeds United's Summerville as a replacement on that right-hand side. And we'll come to all the other news as well. But if you do enjoy this morning's show, please do give it the thumbs up. And of course, if you're new and like what you see, please do subscribe. Free to do so, but don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. And also, you can become a member of the Toon Review by hitting the join button, as Andreas just has. Thank you, Andreas. And you can support the channel that way. Or you can also super chat, which is the $ at the bottom of the live comments. And that will take you straight through to a payment method. And of course, it guarantees your comment to be read straight out on the show. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, and good morning to all those out in Viewerland.
It's the sun is shining up in the northeast today, which makes a nice change. So some little bits of positivity coming in. That Newcastle United obviously are, after more players. We said that from today the links would probably be ramping up, and that's exactly what they are. It's crazy. But we're going to start off with Fabian Schär. Now, Fabian Schär has obviously been, he's off for a little break now before returning to Newcastle United, of course, for pre-season, which is just around the corner. And what he said is very interesting. And I've got his quote here, and he's talking about Eddie Howe. And this is what he had to say. He says, "I actually hope he will stay at Newcastle," Schär said, "because if you see the work he has done at Newcastle over the last few years, he has a lot of quality and knows how to handle a big club and a big team. For myself as well, he has done so well. I am really happy to have him as manager. Hopefully, he stays at Newcastle. That is the only thing I can think of." Now, Billy, I read that this morning and I thought, hang on a second. What exactly does he mean by that? Let's take a little bit more of a deep dive into that, shall we? Hopefully he stays at Newcastle. He mentioned that twice in 2 sentences. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Billy. Obviously, Eddie Howe is linked with the England job if Southgate does stand down. Is that talk in the dressing room? Is that talk among the players that, Eddie may up and leave Newcastle?
It's very interesting, isn't it? That behind the scenes there is talk of Eddie Howe leaving the club and wherever he goes to. I mean, he's obviously not going to be sacked nowhere on God's earth, but
no. If
England come a calling, is he going to go there and take the England job? I don't know. I mean, I've always said he might. I mean, people have said no way, he's too young, and I tend to agree that he's too young and he does like the day-to-day winning of football. But if Fabian Schär saying that, does he know something we don't? I don't know. It's a strange thing to say. I've got to say, maybe it's just a bit of lost in translation stuff, but
possibly. And we know that that's the case. Although, having said that, Fabian Schär is a very good English speaker, of course. So getting anything lost in translation would be a little bit weird. But I mean, obviously, Trevor's saying it depends on the context of the question. Yes, it does. Of course, it does. But we know that Eddie Howe has played a massive part in Fabian Schär's re-emergence as a quality centre back for Newcastle United. Bruce didn't have him in his plans, left him out a lot of the time. It looked at one stage, I mean, we were all talking about it as if Fabian Schär was going to leave Newcastle United because we just couldn't see where he was going to get into the side. And then Eddie Howe comes in, and, Fabian Schär is one of his top players. One of the first names on the team sheet. Michael McIntyre, thank you for your super sticker. Much appreciated, my friend. So for me, he's got that kind of, balance with the players. He's not too friendly. He's the manager at the end of the day. And he does a great job at bringing these players on. Players that were struggling. We've seen it with a handful of players, actually, not just one or two, who have severely improved under Eddie's leadership. Now, yes, Eddie probably will look back at last season, and he's probably looked back at it numerous times and realized that he's probably made some mistakes. as the players did. But for me, the players want Eddie there. They know what his work ethic is. It's rubbing off on the players because of the way the team goes out on a regular basis and performs. We've seen that numerous times. But when you hear players talking like that and saying that, within 2 sentences, saying, I hope he stays. And the last bit, Billy, is the bit that really I took a lot of interest in when he said there, hopefully he stays at Newcastle. That is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, well, I mean,
now, if you look,
he's scared. He sounds like he's scared, isn't he? That he's going.
That's exactly what it sounds like. That he is actually worried that the manager might be up and leaving. Now, again, this might be just player talk. I don't think anything's lost in translation because Fabian Schär speaks very, very good English.
Yeah.
The context of the question, I mean, he basically was asked. What he thought of the Euros and now what he's looking forward to next season. So he wasn't prompted to mention Eddie Howe or anything like that. He basically just said he may, that's what he's thinking of. That's the main thing that he wants from next season is to hang on to the manager. Gareth Bascom's been a member for 18 months. Thank you very much, Gareth. He may only take the England. Take the England job if he can continue with the club duties in addition.
And Kevin Keegan tried that, and
it doesn't work. But I agree with what Billy said, and that is that Eddie, he loves that day-to-day running of the club. He loves being around Newcastle. He loves being with the players. So I was, by the way, people are asking what language this question was asked in. It was asked by an English reporter, okay, after the Switzerland game. So I think it was Hope, but one of them did ask it. It wasn't a foreign journalist. It wasn't anything like that. So let's just step back from the lost in translation stuff or, it's been taken out of context. That's what he said. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute Eddie Howe's leaving the football club. Of course I'm not. But when you hear a player saying that, it develops a little bit of interest and think, he said it twice in that little short space of time. And the end bit, that is what he's hoping for the most.
Let's not forget that the England for a manager, especially an English manager, the England manager's job is the pinnacle of it all. So
absolutely, it is. Yeah,
it's a hard pull. It's a hard pull to not go. I've got to say.
It is a hard pull, and I can understand if, the FA have got a couple of options, haven't they? They've got who is it? Is it
Graham Potter?
Graham Potter. They've obviously got Eddie Howe in mind. Those are the two I think are the standout managers for the England job if they go for an English guy.
Yeah, it'd be Eddie Howe because Graham Potter failed at his last club, didn't he?
I mean, I'm not worried about it now. Let's just wait and see what happens with Southgate and stuff like that. But it was a very interesting thing to say. And look, again, we're not looking, as if Eddie Howe's leaving or anything. We're just, again, it's just a conversation, guys, of what Fabian Schär said. And look, the players will probably, let's be truthful here. The players will probably be worried about Eddie Howe because, let's be honest, if that England job becomes available, which we're 95% certain that is going to happen at the end of the Euros, whether we win it or not, Eddie Howe has been talked about as an England manager. And you know what? The FA may well try and poach him from Newcastle. It may happen. Eddie may well turn around and say, no, thank you. It's too early for me in my career. I want to, develop myself as a club manager and have a few years as club manager. Eddie could do that, but that's not to say that the FA won't approach Newcastle and ask for permission to speak to him.
I think he's top of the list. I think he's top of the list. I really do.
We have to be realistic with this, guys, and obviously the players would be worried about it as well. It's very interesting. Alexander, thank you for your super chat. Left Houston before the hurricane. Be safe, Houston. Indeed, yeah, it's a nasty one. This one. Absolutely. Kenzie says, I wish we were talking about player incomings and not everyone leaving, which Eddie won't. Club needs to give us some feel-good factor. I think there'll be a feel-good factor coming too. Absolutely. I think the FA will go for Eddie to replace Southgate after this tournament.
I agree with Nick. Whether he takes it or not.
Exactly.
I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he thinks he's ready himself.
No.
And I don't think he's ready to give up the day-to-day business of managing a club football team.
Yeah. But obviously you can see there from what Fabian had to say, and he's got a lot of praise for the manager. And I think a lot of Newcastle United players feel like that as well. So for me, look, let's just wait and see. I think the FA probably would approach Newcastle for Eddie Howe without a shadow of a doubt. And it's all right, people saying, oh, Eddie won't go, Eddie won't go. That's fine. In my opinion, Eddie won't go either. But I think he'll be approached. And we have to be ready for that. But, you know, because there's no way Southgate's going to remain manager. I would rather eat my own feces than have Southgate as manager. Jack says the question must have had Eddie's name in there for him to respond in that way. No, he was asked about the upcoming season and, you know, what he thinks of Newcastle and etc. Look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, Fabian said that, and obviously he's a little bit concerned, as players would be, as fans are. And you know, we have to be, you know, realistic here and say, yes, of course, Eddie Howe's name is going to be linked with the England job. That's just being realistic. I'm not saying he's going to go, but we have to be ready for Eddie's name to be banded around when Southgate does step down.
He's a big attraction for the players that are already at the club. I mean, if he was to up sticks and take the England job, you'd worry about the likes of Bruno and Alexander Isak and, you know, not getting on with a new manager and maybe wanting to leave. It's a horrible thought, but it could happen.
But as we say, we shall cross that bridge if and when we come to it. Chipper says, I think Potter goes there as the FA have to pay huge compensation to us. I'm not sure that. I'm not sure the FA would be bothered about the compensation, to be honest. They know they need the right man in. Eddie is probably top of their list. I am sure of that, says Anthony. Only Bobby Robson's gone on to better things after England.
That's quite right.
I don't think Eddie would take the England job. Not enough coaching for him. I think he'd get bored. I think he honestly would get bored. You know, yes, he'd love going to watch football and things like that, but the day-to-day training is the thing that...
it depends how far he goes down. I mean, would he want to be involved with St George's Park and all that? Probably would, knowing Eddie Howe. That would maybe give him a day-to-day running of things. Plus his scouting and looking at things. And I mean, there are reasons why he would go, but I just don't see it personally.
Yeah, I don't. I think he'd be approached, though. And there's a lot of people in the chat in a little bit of denial that, you know, Eddie's not going anywhere. This. Can I just say, he will be approached. I have no doubt about that.
No doubt about that.
That's if they decide to go down the line of an English manager. There is a couple of prospects, obviously. There's some international managers out there who are available. So, you know, we have to be realistic. Of course he's going to be linked. Of course he's going to be linked. Eddie's not going to England just yet. He likes to bring players on, and he won't be able to do that with England. Remember someone? The Sun published a poll how he was the fans' choice.
He probably would be the fans' choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard other YouTube channels talk about Eddie Howe as an England manager. So, you know, other fans definitely rate him as an England manager. Spike, thank you very much for being a member for 23 months. If Eddie was going, he would give them at least a season's notice.
He wouldn't.
The
FA would pay up for that privilege.
Yeah, of course.
They'd see the FA, and people have saying that the FA have got something against Newcastle. What better thing to do than take away the man that's at the helm of it?
I mean, Drew makes a very good point there, Billy. The England job has to be tempting for any manager following Southgate. The calibre of squad would suggest the best crack at winning something for the first time in a long time. That's obviously if they don't win the Euros. But
100%.
The continuation of being able to, you know, really win things and challenge is very appealing to any manager, I would have thought, who was linked with England. Paul says there's never a dull moment with Newcastle. Absolutely. We have a new member, VMV. Welcome to Members Club. Thank you for your support, my friend. David said, let's face it, Eddie Howe would be perfect for England selfishly. We'd all want him to stay, though. Yeah, the football that England would play under Eddie Howe would be fantastic to watch because he'd demand the press, he'd have the players available to really, really perform and play to what we know that Eddie can do and that Eddie's tactics can do. And it'd be a very, very different England to what we're watching now. But Christ, let's not. I hope it doesn't happen. I really don't. But we have to be prepared for England to come calling because, he's one of the top English managers. Michael says, if Eddie Howe goes to England, do you think Southgate may go the other way to Newcastle? Southgate is a young English manager, and he has worked with some Newcastle United players, Trippier, Gordon, and Wilson. Michael, Hadaway and shite, please. There's no way Newcastle would go for Southgate. I think I don't think he's a Premier League manager for a start.
Pochettino would be the man I think we'd probably approach.
Probably, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. One thing for Moyes is that at least he knows how to push for a winning goal, but not sure if Scott will ever take the England job. Fergie used to get linked with the England job, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
It obviously never happened, but it was funny. It was funny. Right. Let's move on from that and just hope that Fabian Schär gets his wish and England don't come a calling. But all I'm saying is, let's be just be realistic, guys. It's all right saying, Eddie's not going anywhere. He probably won't, and he'll probably turn it down, hopefully. But we have to be realistic and say that England will come calling. So, that's not fantasizing the fact, that's just being truthful, all right, that he will be linked with the England job. But we'll see what happens. Now, on the transfer front, Newcastle United seem to have turned their attention, Billy, to Mr. Summerville at Leeds. Obviously, Elise is now gone. He's signed for Bayern Munich for 50 million quid. We've had a look at some other right-sided players. Ben Jacobs and a few others have mentioned this morning that Summerville is a very high interest with the Newcastle bosses, and talks or a bid could be coming in within the next few days. Summerville's been mentioned before. I think we've covered him on a transfer show. What do you make of that? Would he be the, I don't know, would he be the answer on the right side, or would he not quite be the big star that we first thought?
He's not the marquee signing we'd be expecting. No, definitely not. Good player, but not for me. Not for me. He's a hell of a player. Very well proven at championship level. Did a little bit in the Premiership at the end of Leeds' relegation season.
Yeah.
But is he the man to come and get people off seats? Probably not. I don't think so. No, I don't think Newcastle United's fans would want Crysencio Summerville as the marquee signing, because he's not. He also plays on the left hand side more than the right, also, which
he does. But he would be coming in probably for us as a right side, according to the report. So, although he's played on the left a lot, Newcastle, according to the various media reports this morning, are saying that Newcastle are looking for him to possibly step into that right hand side role. I'd rather see an out and out right sided winger, Billy. I've said it many, many times. It frustrates me when we keep getting linked with so many players who proliferate on the left. I know I've just said there the report says he could play on the right, but surely we want to go for somebody who is really proven on that right hand side.
Yeah, without doubt, and a world class name. And Crysencio Summerville may become that in time, but he's not now. Not at this precise moment in time, unless we are signing for the left hand side. Perish of thought.
Alexander, shut up. Alexander, thank you for another super chat. He says 2 medicals booked.
That's interesting.
How do you know? Well, I have a feeling I have a know how. I have a feeling I know.
Email,
how you know,
Alexander, email.
Get me the information, Alexander. Where are you working? I have a very big hunch. However,
do you, Quazzy?
We are not in the know. Alexander behind the scenes, Alexander knows a lot more than we do. So I have a feeling why, but he still hasn't told me. But I do have a strong feeling that he knows that. Look,
maybe we should have a show with Alexander sometime very soon.
He is coming on. I'm getting him on after I've been on holiday. We've spoken before. No, he can't. He can't. He's busy, Billy. He's busy. Look, we'll see. We'll see. Now the department that Alexander is working for is in the medical bit, but we don't know where.
It could be the NHS.
It could be Hartlepool United for all we know. But,
could be Keir Starmer's new employment.
Yes, he could. He could be. It could be Keir Starmer's physio or something like that. But I don't think so. Harry says, I really want Mbeumo. He's been on my first choice since day one of looking for a new right winger. Fantastic player, and I feel he can fit the way we play. I agree with that. Nick Thornton, thank you for your super chat. Francisco Conceição would be a perfect signing.
Yeah, that would be one that will go under the radar as well. Yeah, that would be a good idea, Nick. We'll get him cheap as well.
But Mbeumo, Billy, for me, is
perfect.
He is a really, really good player, and he's got Premier League experience. Summerville, as you mentioned, played in the Premier League for a little bit, but got relegated. He hasn't exactly set the world on fire. Yes, he had a very good season in the Championship, but it's very different to the Premier League. And again, I think going for Summerville is more of a risk. We need to go for a player at the club who is surely proven.
If Summerville's coming in, I wouldn't mind him coming in as an understudy to a right wing and someone that could play right and left. He'd be a good squad player, but really? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be the statement signing. Absolutely not. He can't be.
Well, listen, he scored 21 goals last season in 49 appearances for Leeds. And Sky Sports pundit Michael Dawson labelled him unplayable through many, many games. Now, apparently the fee is rated at around 35 million quid. Chelsea and Manchester United are also interested in him. Chelsea, I mean, fucking hell, we may as well not say Chelsea because every time, every player that we seem to be linked with, there's also Chelsea there, which is madness. But this is what this is what Ben Jacobs had to say. He says, we obviously know that Newcastle were one of the clubs that approached for Michael Olise, which sort of shows you that they're looking for that wide, creative-minded player. And although the cost of Olise was too high for Newcastle to proceed, there'll be other options in the market that I'm sure Newcastle feel are within their budget. Summerville could be one to watch, although no approach has yet been made to Leeds United.
See, Ben Jacobs there is doing Newcastle down. The Olise was a release clause, and we obviously, to be able to talk to Olise, we obviously made that commitment to pay £60 million.
Yeah.
So he's saying Newcastle couldn't afford to proceed. Why? Why say that when it was a release clause that unless we bid that, we would have been able to speak to him.
Well, we wouldn't have gone in and even inquired if we weren't prepared to pay.
Exactly.
So it's very strange, unless they've had a look at it and thought, well, maybe there is better other options out there for less money, and maybe we need a bit of money left over to compensate for other positions. That is a possibility. Dan says, not sure, but don't medicals get booked all the time without any actual player being specifically assigned, just in case they are required? Yeah, that goes on across the football world, Dan. Absolutely, it does. But Alexander's just teasing you, that's all. Just teasing you. Anthony says, Gates said, any Newcastle employee isn't coming on a fan channel to discuss medical appointments.
He didn't discuss medical appointments.
He didn't discuss medical appointments, Anthony. He's just, honestly, I mean, me and Alex talk a lot behind the scenes, Alexander, so I know why he's saying that, so just... don't be having a go at him, for God's sake. Sujay, thank you very much for the super chat. Any thoughts on a loan deal for right winger Sancho, if still available towards the end of the window? Gula or Simmons would free up funds for other positions. I mean, look, Gula, however you want to say it, isn't getting in the Real Madrid side. And I don't think he's going to get in the Real Madrid side anytime soon, given their signings at the football club. So that may not be a bad shout, trying to get him on loan with a possible view for a permanent deal in the future. I mean, can you imagine we sign Gula? I mean, he is a worldie.
Not winger, though, is he? Not really. He's more of a 10, isn't he?
Well,
he's a bit like an upper class version of Miggy.
Don't even put Miggy in the same sentence as Gula.
But he's a number 10 who can play out there.
Bollocks! He can play on the right. He can play anywhere. That kid. Listen, would you complain if we signed him as the right winger?
Oh no, not with an obligation to buy. Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. Not a bad shout, but I don't think Real Madrid will be in a hurry to get rid of him, given how he performed in the Euros.
I don't think Sancho's a goer either, given the club he plays for.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a battle.
He's employed by, I say plays for. Obviously, he doesn't play for them. He's employed by them.
No, and I can't see him having a future now. Ten Hag's extended his contract. Ten Hag just doesn't like him. So, but you know what? Alex mentioned Sancho a while back, and I wouldn't be too disappointed to bring Sancho in.
He's a great player.
Fabulous player.
Yeah.
And look how he performed when he went to Dortmund, and he actually had a manager that, gave him that belief again. And as soon as he got that belief back, he was exceptional for Dortmund again at the back end of the season. There's so many right-sided players. Nico Williams has been mentioned again and stuff like that. But look, we're not going to get Williams either by the looks of things. Alexander says anyone could book a medical, but also booked medicals can be cancelled. So there you go. Having a medical isn't and always a guaranteed, whether a player or just a random Joe, says Alexander. Yeah, there could be booking medicals for the kids or the academy players that they're bringing in. It could be anybody. Yeah, absolutely. The transfer window is a continuation from last season. Crap and uninspiring and devoid of ambition, says Dean. Well, Dean, you can't really say that, mate, until the window's finished. Let's see who we bring in first. If the window ends and we are still in the position we're in now, then yes, it's been a complete tosspot of a window. But the window's open till the end of August. Let's just give the club an opportunity to do things. We've seen it with Mitchell now. Everything going on behind the scenes. It's very, very, quiet, and I prefer it like that. Let the club go about doing their business. We can talk about media reports all day long on here, right? Which we do. We talk about all the media reports because they're talking points about our football club. So we're going to talk about them. But it doesn't necessarily mean that anything on these media reports is going to come true. So
and despite that, we have signed a centre half, stroke left back, and a goalkeeper. So
yeah.
It's not as if we haven't done anything.
Dean's very much in the Eddie Howe out side of things from last season. So everyone's got their opinions, but I think when it comes to the transfer window, guys, what I would say is let's just see by the end of the window where we stand with the squad. Who have we brought in? Who have we let go? And then we can assess it once the window closes. Craig Hope has just said Sheffield United and Portsmouth want to offer Matt Ritchie a contract. Yes, I was coming on to that.
Interesting.
Matt Ritchie, Sheffield United, Billy. Look, they're back in the Championship now, obviously. Did Portsmouth get promoted? I think they did, didn't they? Portsmouth back in the Championship?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Derby and Oxford have definitely gone up, so I don't know if Portsmouth went up as well.
Portsmouth was led to believe that, he wanted to go back there and finish his career because that's where it all started for him, wasn't it? It all started at Portsmouth, yeah. So I really do think that if you sort of read what Matt Ritchie was saying about finishing his career at the club it all started for, then Portsmouth would be certainly an option for him. I don't think Sheffield United was on his radar, to be honest, but it might be a good option for him. He's a free agent, and because of that, because he's a free agent, that gives him a real opportunity now to just sit back and have a think about where he wants to go, where he's going to get. I think at Matt Ritchie's stage of his career, he'll be looking for somewhere where he's going to get regular football to finish off his career. And Portsmouth was kind of his fairy tale finish, I think, Billy.
Well, that's why that's who he supported as a boy. And he started his career at Swindon, I believe. But Portsmouth, that's where he wants to get back there. So is it about the money? Well, I think Sheffield United probably offer him more wages. Or was it a fact of going home and he's earned his money and just last couple of seasons before he retires? I don't know. It's up to him, really. But I think Portsmouth, Sheffield United, is it really what he wants? I'm not sure. Playing next to them two players.
Yeah. Lady Sam's in the chat. Claudia Moan from Sunderland has left the club, Golden Glove winner, and would be a great keeper for the next level for us. Talking about the ladies' side, of course. Absolutely.
I've heard a few Claude moans before.
I bet you have. Stephen says there's no harm in exploring the loan market if the players are good enough. Sorry, Paul, but yeah, whatever. I do, but it's quite clear a lot of people don't. Sancho's on 300k a week. We ain't paying that. I don't think there's many clubs will pay that. So I think if Sancho certainly wants to move on and continue his career, he's going to have to take a pay cut. There's no doubt about that, because Dortmund won't pay that either. No. Dortmund got him because of the fact he was on loan. So I don't think Dortmund would pay that either. But look, things can be made up of bonuses and add-ons and things like that. So
it's another one of them signings where Manchester United were just trying to spite Manchester City, weren't they? They kind of signed Sancho for lots of money. And they did it with someone else. Was it Sanchez they did it with as well? And nothing worked for them. It's fantastic when they did that.
Anthony, will you leave Alexander alone? He's only having a bit of banter, man. For God's sake, don't take everything to heart. And he's a very professional man, is Alexander, so he's not going to give anything away anyway. So chill. Our biggest problem is the right wing, so we need an extra player on that position. Then we can solve other problems like another striker and another centre back.
Definitely one. Yeah. I mean, we all think Miggy's out the door, so we definitely need one, and he's got to be. I think he's got to be the statement signing. Whether we get two, I don't know, because Jacob Murphy's still going to be in the club unless he gets sold as well. But then we wouldn't need two.
I'm still convinced that the right winger will be a marquee, Billy.
I'm sure he will. But whether we sell Murphy as well and bring in two, I don't know.
I'm not sure we sell Murphy. I think he wants Murphy around. I want Murphy around. I think he's Newcastle. He bleeds black and white. Gareth, thank you for another super chat. He says, just a mere suggestion. I don't want Howe to leave. I don't think anybody would. I mean, there is a few. Dean says Newcastle are window shopping at Aldi. Dean, man, which side of the bed did you get out of this morning, buddy?
We're just discussing what's in the news, but they don't know.
Let's cheer up, man. Dear me. Aidan says if anyone could bring Sancho back to his best, it's Eddie. Wouldn't mind it. Absolutely. Oh, yes. 100%. 100%. But we're still not linked with him. Ken says, Paul, have just come back from Turkey, and as far as the Turkish football fans are concerned, Arda Güler really is their youngest god. He's not bad as well. Yeah, they love him. They absolutely love him. And why wouldn't you love him when he scores goals like he does, he plays like he does. Billy, if there's one player that gets bums off seats as soon as he gets the ball, it's Güler.
They've got two of them as well. They've got a younger version. I can't think what his name is, but they've got a younger version who's also in the squad, and who Stato has looked at in a transfer show.
I think his name's Turkish Talkie, Billy.
What's his name? It begins with an I, but it's another one. And Stato showed me the YouTube highlights of him. Good grief, another one. Exactly the same, but younger.
Yeah. Yvonne says the window hasn't started yet. The internationals haven't finished, and these are the players we're after. Yeah, I think it'll really get going once the tournament ends on Sunday. Alexander, thank you for another super chat. He says, remember Rondon? He played lights out in Copa. Yes, he's on fire in the Copa America, is Rondon. Having said that, I think not quite the player that we'd be looking for now. We should have signed him way back, but of course we didn't because of a twat who was in charge. But that happens. Ron says, just wondering how we keep Harvey Barnes happy this year. Is he happy being number 2 to Anthony Gordon all season? Gordon switched to the right.
Well, I don't think if he wasn't happy being number 2 to Anthony Gordon, he should have maybe upped his game a little bit.
He wasn't exactly fabulous. Having said that, I'm willing to give Harvey Barnes a chance. I think he's again, get him a full preseason again this year, keep him fit, and let Eddie work with him. Drew says absolutely no to Sancho. Note against him. Just don't want to see Man United get a single transfer penny. Yeah, but if it meant us, having a fantastic player on the right side, I'd take it any day of the week.
Plus, they're going to lose an awful lot on him, and you've got to remember they've just lost an awful lot on Donny van der Beek. Think about the money they've lost on all the other players that they've signed as well. I mean, if Anthony was to leave Manchester United tomorrow, how much would they get for him? Deep doo-doo.
Yeah, they're certainly not going to recoup what they paid for him. That's that's an absolute certainty. Now, Billy, I'm just looking at some more reports coming in, and there's one here saying that Paul Mitchell is very confident that he keeps Newcastle player Anthony Gordon at Newcastle despite numerous Premier League clubs' interest. So I think, once the Euros are out the way, Billy, I think Paul Mitchell his first conversation may be with Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, and if he's confident of that, then I'm all behind it. That's kind of not really his remit to keep players happy, but if he can do that, fantastic. And the fact he's saying it makes me feel confident he's going to stay.
Well, to be honest, Billy, I think there's two players that Paul Mitchell will be targeting to extend or give new contracts to, and that's Isak and Gordon, and really get them tied down to the plan.
Because Gordon comes out 26, isn't it? So is it 26 or 25? It's a short contract for
It's not a long one. Yeah, but I do genuinely think that those two are the players that Mitchell will want to speak to very urgently and get everything sorted. From what I've read, Isak's very keen on a new deal, and obviously with all this rigmarole going on about Gordon, you just never know. You just never know. Niall says this is Barnes' season to show up. If not, we could cut our losses. Joel says Man United fans think they'll get 50 million for Sancho. Can't see that myself, to be honest. I think Sancho's probably going to be around 35 million, 40 at a stretch. I certainly wouldn't pay any more than that for him, given the way it's gone for him. Agent Tech Streams says I would sell Barnes in January if he doesn't start well and doesn't pick up. Interesting. Peter says we've been linked with a Serbian defender from Germany. Yes, the Leipzig centre-back, isn't it? I can't think of his name. I did read that yesterday. Pedro says, what's not to say Gordon going to play on the right side permanently and Barnes on the left? I mean, let's be honest. Pedro's right, Billy. It is an option. But Eddie Howe seems very against that option to put Anthony Gordon on the right, even though he did play there a lot for Everton.
Well, he likes the inverted wingers so the fullbacks can get outside them, doesn't he? That's basically what he does. And it's worked in one season, didn't work so much last season, but that was down, a lot of it was down to injuries, I guess, and the fact we couldn't press because of the amount of games we had and lack of rotation. But I don't think so. I like Gordon on the right wing as a 5-minute, 10-minute swap, but certainly not a full-time job for him.
Yeah. Pavlovic is the defender's name, Billy.
Pavlovic, yeah, good player.
Very, very good one. Matty says Sancho is clearly talented, but I'd rather have Mbeumo or Madueke all day. I think I'd go for Mbeumo over Madueke, even though I can't pronounce his name apparently. But Mbeumo for me, I'm very surprised that we're not looking at because I think he's. Didn't we say when the transfer window, or even before the window opened, that Mbeumo had said that he's ready to take the next step?
Yeah, we said it after the last game of the season when we played them. It'd be a fantastic signing for us.
And I don't think Brentford would actually stand in his way. That's he wouldn't have come out and said that if he hadn't already had those conversations with Brentford. But at the minute, he's not linked anywhere. Which is really surprising.
These are the kind of players that we bring in, though, isn't it? I mean, it's generally very hush-hush, and then before you know it, they come in.
That's what we want. That's what we want to happen, isn't it? Dave says you'll probably not hear much about the players we get before it's nearly done because Newcastle love a quiet game. Stops Chelsea stealing everyone.
Just what I said, yeah, really.
Absolutely. Matt says Gordon can't play right wing. You take his main strength away, cutting in on his right. Well, yeah, but he can also beat a man and cross it. Look, what's to say that they can't play it? Barnes and Gordon just mix and match, change over every now and again, confuse the opposition. Ron says Mbeumo is a rapid and a good finisher. Yeah, he is. He's rapid. He's fast. And I think, Billy, because of the pace he's got, he would fit into Eddie's philosophy of pressing and helping out defensively.
Yeah, 100%. And plus, when Tony was out, he did a lot of play through the middle as well. So, he's equally adaptable at centre forward. So, be a fantastic signing in Mbeumo.
Baz says we can't have a transfer show because there's no links. Well, Baz, there is a transfer show at 7 p.m. tonight because there has been links. Alex has got all the links. and he's generated the players that we will be talking about tonight. So
it might have been linked last week or the week before that, but been linked.
But once they're linked, we can talk about them, and there is quite a few. Carl says Brentford are probably waiting to see what happens with Tony before they would make a decision on Mbeumo. I'll stay quiet until after the Euros for England.
No, probably right.
Yeah, that's a possibility, of course. I think Tony, although I haven't seen any real, clubs linked to Tony. I know he's away in the international team, but you still get the links, and I haven't seen him linked to anybody yet.
I think he'll go to Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal would be a good choice, I think, for him to go to. Ken says, go for Mbeumo. You have to think about African Cup of Nations as you lose him for 6 weeks.
That is true.
Weren't they trying to change that, though, to a summer tournament?
They did change it for the summer 1 year, didn't they? But it was that hot.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt says, I love the look of Conceição, the Portugal young winger. Yeah. He's a good player. Very, very good player. Yvonne says, 1900 hours with Stato. Love it. Yeah, Stato's raring to go. He's been on this morning already. What's your thoughts of the players in the Copa America? Well,
games I've seen ain't been great, I'll be honest. Brazil were bloody awful.
Brazil were terrible. Paraguay were god-awful. Canada somehow get to the semi-finals.
Give them credit. They played some good stuff, Canada.
Well,
and of course, Bielsa at Uruguay. They're typically Bielsa. Again, 10 men against Brazil. What I don't like about it is there's no extra time, straight to penalties. That's
I actually think Uruguay might win it, Billy, to be honest.
Yeah, they probably will.
I do.
People like that.
Absolutely. But there you go. That is this morning's news done and dusted, guys. As I say, we'll be back at 7 o'clock tonight with a transfer show, but it is the usual where it's a transfer show and any breaking news from Newcastle. So, of course, whatever news breaks this afternoon, we'll bring it for you tonight on the show. So make sure you're available 7 o'clock with me, Billy, Sam, and, of course, Stato. But thank you very much for watching this morning. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to give it the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new or watching it on a rerun. Thank you for your super chats and memberships. Thank you, Mods. Thank you, Billy. And thank you to you. It's been a great show again. Lots of talking points to go through. Some very interesting opinions, as usual. But thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of your day, folks. And we'll see you back here at 7 o'clock. Take care.
How are the lads and lasses?
Come back and check on some breathing.
Ah!